Available now. Link below.
Now we're peeling back the curtain on a crisis that's been brewing far from the spotlight of mainstream media. A crisis threatens the very backbone of America, our farmers. In an exclusive report, we reveal how the Biden administration's policies, coupled with an unrelenting push for so-called sustainability, are not just squeezing the life out of American agriculture, but could very well be plotting its demise. From skyrocketing inflation to regulatory strangleholds that favor globalist agencies over local growth, the plight of the American farmer has never been more dire. As we navigate through this unfolding disaster, remember the stakes couldn't be higher. The survival of the American way of life as we know it hangs in the balance. This isn't just a story about farming. It's a story about freedom, food security, and the future of our republic. So stay with us for this special report. You don't want to miss my final thought on why this matters to every single American. Now, before we dive into today's urgent report, a quick shout out to our sponsors, the lifeline of our no-holds-barred journalism. Just like our farmers facing the brunt of excessive regulation, our bodies battle the bulge of unhealthy fat. Excess abdominal fat deep in our core threatens our vital organs, much like misguided policies threaten our heartland. That's why I've turned to a groundbreaking solution backed by science to cut down on fat storage, boost metabolism, and manage weight effectively. And for our viewers, a special 51% discount awaits. Secure your health and your future at trimwithgary.com. Remember, supporting us means we keep bringing you the truth. So visit trimwithgary.com. Now, America stands at a crossroads with its very sustenance under threat. The Biden administration's approach to agriculture paints a grim picture for the future of American farming. With a relentless push towards sustainability and a blind eye to the inflationary pressures crippling our heartland, this administration is setting the stage for an unprecedented crisis in U.S. agriculture. It's a scenario that sees our farmers, the backbone of America, caught in a storm of policy-induced turmoil. And today we delve into the stark realities facing our farmers, underscoring the urgent need for a shift back to policies that prioritize American agriculture and food security. At the heart of this crisis is a shocking statistic. The U.S. cattle stock is at a 73-year low. Now, this isn't just a number. It's a dire warning of the potential collapse of a critical component of our agricultural infrastructure. The depletion of our cattle herds signifies more than just an economic downturn for the farming community. It's a looming disaster for the American food supply chain. The implications are far-reaching, affecting everything from the price and availability of beef to the livelihoods of countless Americans connected to the agricultural sector. Now, let's take a look at what these farmers are warning.
Ed Sullivan is a cattle rancher based in Texas and Colorado, and John Boyd Jr. is a fourth-generation cattle rancher and founder of the National Black Farmers Association. John, let's start with you. I know you're dealing with the effects of the previous drought, but when you add up all the factors and the political pressures that are brought to bear here, how bad could this get for the American consumer of beef?
Well, the farmers are going out of business every day. And what's happening is America's beef cattle producers are depleting their herds. So they're not having more calves so that they can multiply. We are producing 1 billion pounds less of American beef than we were last year this time. So this is a crisis that's going to affect every American at the local grocery stores. But here's what's problematic for me. We help all of these other foreign countries, $100 billion to Ukraine and help Ukraine farmers, but we won't help America's farmers right here at home. We have farmers facing farm foreclosure, and USDA will not stop farm foreclosures in this country for direct loans, guaranteed loans, and other agricultural lenders. And I've made that request on your network many times. We're down to 40,000 Black farmers in this country. And guess what? We're facing extinction. And these policies aren't helping cattlemen like myself stay on the farm. We've had the highest input costs that you've seen in decades. Diesel fuel prices going through. And this is why farmers can't stay on the farm.
But this is what they want.
Policies that can help us.
John, this is what they want. High energy costs hurt Americans. And Chad, I know you're chomping at the bit here, to use a phrase relevant to horses and cows. But What is your take here on how and why this is happening beyond the cyclical effects of weather?
Yeah, you bet. John, what John is talking about is a symptom of the overreaching problem. And the overreaching problem is globalism. It's the global elites claiming that climate change is ruining the world and that we must implement sustainability, which is just production and consumption control across the world. We see it going on all over. That because of this, it is because we're becoming vertically integrated in our system. The beef cattle industry is the last bastion of freedom, and so we have to take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and stop these global elites from implementing all of this, these regulations, these sustainable regulations that they claim that cattle are ruining the planet. And we have to stop that and make sure people understand that sustainability is nothing but communism, any ism except Americanism, and it's coming from the top down. We are a nation whose laws are from the bottom up, and we need to be controlling that.
The decline in cattle stock is a direct result of policies that have made farming increasingly untenable in the United States. Inflation, fueled by reckless spending and economic mismanagement, has driven up the cost of feed, equipment, and labor, squeezing farmers' already thin margins. Meanwhile, the Biden administration's endorsement of global sustainability initiatives threatens to impose further constraints on our farmers, pushing many to the brink of foreclosure. John Boyd Jr. and Shad Sullivan, two voices from the heartland, they shared their experiences on Fox News. They offered a glimpse into the bleak reality faced by American farmers. They speak of a sector under siege, with farmers forced to reduce their herds and abandon their fields, not out of choice but out of necessity. The shift towards sustainability and away from traditional farming practices isn't just misguided, it's a death knell for the American way of life. Now, critics of the administration's policies argue that the push for sustainability overlooks the efficiency and innovation inherent in American agriculture. The narrative that cattle are a significant contributor to climate change has been used to justify regulations that would cripple the industry. Yet this narrative fails to acknowledge the strides made by farmers in reducing emissions and improving sustainability on their own terms. Moreover, the exploration of alternatives like insect protein as a substitute for beef signifies a troubling disconnect between policymakers and the realities of American agriculture. While diversification of protein sources could be seen as a worthy goal by some, sidelining the beef industry in favor of experimental alternatives is a gamble with our national food security. And the consequences of these policies extend beyond the farm gate. They are ripple effects, and they're felt in the rural communities across the nation, where farming is not just a livelihood but a way of life. The decline in cattle stock and the closure of farms contribute to the breakdown of these communities, eroding the social fabric of rural America. It's in this context that the call for the return of Donald Trump to the White House gains momentum. Trump's presidency was characterized by policies that supported the agricultural sector, recognizing the critical role it plays in the nation's economy and food security. And Trump's approach to trade regulation and rural development stood in stark contrast to the current administration's offering a lifeline to farmers struggling under the weight of hostile policies. The need for farmer-friendly policies has never been more apparent. The war on farmers, cloaked in the guise of environmentalism and sustainability, threatens not just the agricultural sector but the entire nation. Food shortages, once considered a problem of the distant future or less developed countries, are now a very real possibility for the United States. As we navigate these challenging times, it's crucial to listen to the voices of those on the front lines. Farmers like Boyd and Sullivan aren't just fighting for their livelihoods, they are fighting for the future of American food security. And their resilience in the face of adversity is a testament to the American spirit, but they shouldn't have to fight this battle alone. It's time to reassess our priorities and policies to ensure the American agriculture can thrive. This means rolling back regulations that hinder productivity, addressing the root causes of inflation, and supporting innovations that enhance sustainability without compromising food security. It also means recognizing the value of traditional farming practices and the importance of livestock to our economy and our way of life. So let us remember the critical role that farmers play in our nation. They are not just producers of food. They are custodians of the land and pillars of rural communities. The challenges they face are not theirs alone to bear. They are challenges for all of America. The path forward must be one of support, understanding, and action. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. In closing, the plight of America's farmers isn't just a rural issue, it's a national crisis that strikes at the heart of what it means to be American. The current administration's policies have not just undermined the agricultural sector, but have threatened the very fabric of our nation's food security. It's a reminder that the policies enacted in Washington have real, tangible effects on the ground, in the fields, and the farms that feed our great republic. We must rally behind our farmers, advocating for policies that support rather than hinder their invaluable work. The return to a leadership that prioritizes America's agricultural strength and food sovereignty is not just desirable, it is imperative. For the sake of our farmers, our communities, and our nation, we must not remain silent. Time for action is now.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.